Document Tingz, bringing truth to the light. Paper trail strong, yeah, we reading it right. From the docket to the drop, every case, every scene. I'm your courtroom reporter with the facts in between. Yeah. Document Tingz, bringing truth to the light. Paper trail strong, yeah, we reading it right. From the docket to the drop, every case, every scene. I'm your courtroom reporter with the facts in between. Yeah.
All right, and we are back for part 2. All right, let me make sure I got my copyright disclaimer under section 107, just scrolling at the very bottom of your screen. Also, let me make sure I put my QR code back up, as y'all can see there. All right, now let's continue. The court, relevance. Ms. Dixon, it's all hearsay. It's not relevant. And the court trial transcripts state what was said in regards to this. So I don't see how this cumulative information, which is entirely double hearsay in some respects, double and triple hearsay. The court, so your objection is to hearsay and relevance. I'll hear from plaintiff's counsel, Mr. O'Sullivan. Yes, Your Honor. In terms of relevance, this is, I think, a production manager, somebody who worked with the defendant, who spoke to her about her contacts with Tory. This person is going to testify live at trial. The court, which person? Mr. O'Sullivan, Noor King, the person speaking. This is him speaking to his audience back at the time saying they're in cahoots. They're doing this together, and I know what, and he's going to be a live witness to that effect. And I think this is going to come out with just his contemporaneous having said that when it was going on. That's the relevance. The court, but what's the exception to the hearsay rule? It's an out of court statement that you're offering for its truth. What's your exception? Mr. O'Sullivan. I think it's going to be that her state of mind is relevant, the defendant's state of mind. And he is talking about conversations with her about what she knew, literally that. This is saying before any of these statements, she said after about Glass and all of these conspiracy theories. She knew from Tory that Megan was shot. She knew that part. And that's relevant to her state of mind because later she tells stories that are entirely different. That's the proffer on relevance. The court, your exception to the hearsay rule is, Mr. O'Sullivan, state of mind of the defendant. The court, that's not an exception. These are his statements. It's not his state of mind. Mr. O'Sullivan, statements about a conversation with her. The court, right. Ms. Dixon, hearsay. Mr. O'Sullivan, her statement. The court, I'm sorry. His statements about a conversation he had with the defendant. Mr. O'Sullivan, right. So the defendant's piece is an admission. The court, that's an admission, but there are other components to what he's saying that don't fall within that hearsay exception. Mr. O'Sullivan, perhaps some of it is to understand what he is saying there. I think you need to hear that. The court, for sake of completeness, I don't think you need to. You can admit those portions where he says what the defendant said. Mr. O'Sullivan, understood, Your Honor. The court, all right. Mr. O'Sullivan, he says, so we would prefer just to that extent. The court, you would have to redact parts of it, Ms. Dixon, but Your Honor, to the extent that it's another layer of hearsay because he's talking about a conversation that supposedly she had with Daystar Peterson, Tory Lanez, and we don't know what that happened, but we don't know that happened or not, but it's another layer of hearsay. So that's inadmissible. That's double hearsay. Mr. O'Sullivan, no, it's an admission. She's going to be here to say that she didn't really say that. Well, I'm sorry. Let me scroll. Yep. The admission part comes in, I think. The court, he can testify here in the courtroom about what the defendant told him, but this is a recording that he made where he references some of the things she told him, right? That's double hearsay. So his out of court statements and her out of court statements, Ms. Dixon, it's actually triple because it's also supposedly Daystar Peterson's out of court statement. Mr. O'Sullivan, the ultimate statement that goes to her state of mind is her statement, which is an admission. The court, right. And he's going to say to that, he's going to talk about that here in the courtroom live, Mr. O'Sullivan. We expect that, but the court, right. This is an out of court statement. I'm not sure you have the right hearsay exception. You haven't briefed it, certainly. I'm not going to allow this in, Mr. O'Sullivan. Well, would you at least allow us to put a very short brief in on it? The court, tell me how it's admissible by citing some law to me and saying his ramblings on and on this audio tape about what so and so said. That's admissible. I'm not convinced that it is, Mr. O'Sullivan. So maybe we submit something short on that. And it may be not having had the chance to fully confer with our opposing counsel. We didn't get to this level of the court. Well, that's what we need to do today to pre-admit trial exhibits. Mr. O'Sullivan. Well, at least on this one, I think it is relevant. And I think I can probably come up with an exception. The court, I don't doubt for a moment that it's relevant, Mr. O'Sullivan. And I think that goes to her state of mind. The court, to the defendant's state of mind. Mr. O'Sullivan, yes, the court, right. But relevancy and going to somebody's state of mind are not hearsay exceptions. Mr. O'Sullivan, I'm missing one step. The court, you are? Mr. O'Sullivan, we're going to find it. The court, okay, very good. So this one right now is not admitted, subject to being revisited with proper support by the plaintiff. The next objection, Ms. Dixon. Ms. Dixon, number 3. The court, instead of having to listen to these audio tapes, much of which I don't understand, I think I would have done well to have a transcript to read from, but I don't understand some of the words they're saying. Why don't you proffer what the audio says, and then we can have a discussion? Miss Dixon, Your Honor, my internet connection is bad. It's Miss Molino. Your Honor, I imagine that you want the plaintiff to proffer. The court, correct. She said, what is in that exhibit? Miss Molino, my colleague Mary is happy to talk about this. Miss Harapetian, Your Honor. The court, can you use the microphone, please? Thank you. Miss Hyapetian. Testing. Good morning, Your Honor. In this exhibit, Sunstar Peterson, the father of Daystar Peterson, Tory Lanez, was doing a prayer on his Instagram live stream to his followers where he was providing a prayer for Milagro Cooper and saying negative things about Miss Pete. And it is relevant because it shows that he is continuing to support Milagro Cooper through their coordination and efforts to speak poorly and spread misinformation about Miss Pete. The court, it's not admissible. How is that admitted at trial? Miss Harapetian, through Sunstar Peterson's testimony about Miss Petion, Your Honor, it's not relevant. The court, Miss Dixon, truly, Miss Dixon, okay. The court, truly, I have allowed you and your client to participate in today's hearing by Zoom when my order in bold text require your physical presence here in the courtroom. You are making this extra difficult for us to get past, and your interruptions do not assist. How is this not hearsay? Ms. Harapetian, Your Honor, it is not being offered for the truth of the matter asserted. It goes to Sunstar Peterson's state of mind and Milagro Cooper's state of mind in the relationship they had to spread misinformation about Miss Pete. And to my understanding, opposing counsel did not object on hearsay grounds. Miss Molino, Your Honor, if I may just clarify that point. Part of our conferral on this exhibit centered on just the objections that defense counsel raised with us about these. And the only objections that they raised about this particular exhibit was relevance in a 403 objection. We conferred on that. After conferring on that, they didn't withdraw. So that is what we are talking about. So we didn't get to a conferral about any potential hearsay issues on this particular exhibit. So if that's the focus of your honor's question, we're happy to make that part of our conferral and discuss it in detail with the court at our next meeting. The court, well, let me be clear. Exhibit 133-1 plaintiff exhibit list that I have on the court's docket does not have any objections. Miss Molino, understood, Your Honor. The court, right. So I don't know what the objections are. I assume because I've heard from Ms. Dixon as to these other ones, that one of her objections might be hearsay. This is hearsay, is not admitted. The next exhibit, Ms. Dixon, that would be P0. That would be exhibit number 5. The court, your client's tweet, is that right? Ms. Dixon, yes, but I'm not sure exactly what Ms. Molino. Your Honor, I need to interject. Ms. Dixon, and I believe it's the rule of completeness and it's taken out of the context and there's a lack of foundation. The court, well, your client's tweet comes in as an admission. If you require further information to make it complete, that's a separate matter. Do we need to speak more about this tweet? Ms. Dixon, no, Your Honor. The court, okay, next objection. That's admitted. And I'm not sure about what tweet they're talking about, but okay, let's continue. Mr. O'Sullivan, Your Honor, I'm sorry to interrupt. Miss Molino mentioned we might not, let me rewind back. Miss Manillo, I'm sorry, mentioned we might not all be looking at the same exhibit list. And based on something Your Honor said, the court docket entry 133-1 is not the correct exhibit list. Miss Molino, no, Your Honor. Since we filed it, what we did was we tried to, in an effort to streamline our case, go back in detail over our exhibits and and take things off of our exhibit list. The exhibit list that Ms. Dixon is talking about is a revised one that we sent to her. I believe we have a copy that we can hand up to the court. The court, that will be helpful. Thank you, Mr. O'Sullivan. So, Your Honor, I think what they're going to try to do is pull it up on the screen. They don't have a hard copy. The copy that both Rhonda and Ms. Molino were looking at least you'll see that, and that covers probably the next few ones that Ms. Dixon is going to cover. The court, thank you, Mr. O'Sullivan. And we're going to try to get it printed while we're waiting. I'm being told, Judge, that we could also email a copy maybe to someone on your staff. If that would, the court, please, if you could, and I could have my courtroom deputy just print it out, Ms. Dixon. And then should we also email you the objection or Mr. O'Sullivan? Yes, you should have the same package. So there's a document you're about to have that is a shrunken, revised version of the broader exhibit list. The court, all I need is a list of exhibits with the list of objections. Mr. O'Sullivan, yes. And as to that revised list, Ms. Dixon has made a separate piece of paper with the objections, and it does correspond numerically to this list we're going to put before you. Apologize for the trouble. The court, all right. Mr. O'Sullivan, so it is correct, Joanna, that the numbers to the left are the numbers that Ms. Dixon has been referring to. Ms. Molino, talking about so far, yes. The court, what's the next exhibit? Ms. Molino, it would be P009, Your Honor, is the one that's up next for discussion. The court, I thought we were already on the tweet, which was P011. Ms. Molino, okay, sorry, I apologize, Your Honor. P011. The court, right, and I already admitted that. What's the next objection? What's the next objection, Ms. Dixon? Ms. Dixon, can you hear me? Ms. Dixon, I was muted. I'm so sorry, Your Honor. It would be P009. The prison call was Sunstar Peterson, and I believe they said they have a transcript for that. The court, this is an out of court statement between Mr. Peterson and who else? Ms. Dixon, his father. The court, that's not admitted. Mr. O'Sullivan, we need a transcript to see the basis. We don't have our basis for that right now. We need, I'm sure it's on our list, and I think we do have a basis for why it's relevant. The court, I don't doubt for a moment that you have relevancy. I don't know how you get around the hearsay rule, Mr. O'Sullivan. I think it's going to go again to the not for the truth, for the coordination and the state of mind. The court, but the coordination is being offered for the truth. Mr. O'Sullivan, the fact that they're in touch about this subject matter and sharing plans is not everything is the court. The fact that they're in touch, you could certainly show a call being made, a call being received, but about the subject matter is, in fact, the truth about this subject matter. So I think you all need to think through again. I don't see objections. I don't know what Ms. Dixon's objections are, but these are all classic hearsay. Mr. O'Sullivan. I think I understand the objection, Your Honor. I do think there is a path through, and we haven't had this conferred or heard these objections. And I think that would be the I'm getting twisted. And I think that would have teased it out. And again, I wish we had done that. It was not possible. We did try on this side to have that. So there are going to be some of these where we don't have our refined proffer as to admissibility, but if it's on there, we calculated a way that it was admissible. The court, all right, so we have to pass on that. But let's get to some that we can actually resolve. This is being very unproductive. Miss Dixon, P014, criminal protective order against Daystar Peterson. The court, what's your objection to that? Miss Dixon, relevance. The court, it's a court order, right? Miss Molino, yes, Your Honor. Miss Dixon, yes. The court, it's public record. And your objection is relevance. It's relevance to the plaintiff. Objection overruled. Next, Miss Dixon. I guess there's a number of different tweets here on P015. The court, they seem to be your client's words. So, ooh, those are all admissions. What's your remaining objection, Miss Dixon? That they're vague and there's no evidence that Miss Pete even saw any of these tweets. The court, well, that's a separate matter, right? They are admissible because they are admissions and they're relevant to the plaintiff. Am I correct? Mr. O'Sullivan? Yes, Your Honor. And we have up on the screen one of them, which is Exhibit 23. And again, this is the defendant literally commenting on this video that has been put out by Tory Lanez. It's relevant and it's an admission. The thing is attached to, you need to see it to understand what she's saying. The court, objection overruled. Next, Ms. Dixon, there were 4 different tweets in that. I mean, in that particular, what are other ones? Because it's listing 4 different. The court, I'm sure you've looked at them in your conferral, Ms. Dixon. There are all your client's words, her admissions. Those are admissible. Next, Ms. Dixon, screenshots from Tory Lanez's cap music video. I don't think those are admissible because that has to do with a whole different person. They already have a screenshot of this video in P015. Miss Molino, Your Honor, if I may, I don't mean to. Miss Dixon, I think somebody butted in when I was talking. Maybe I'm wrong. The court, oh, y'all, well, let me pause real quick. Miss Dixon got a mouth on her. All right, let's continue. The court, yes, Miss Molino, I apologize. Miss Dixon. So this is cumulative once again, and it's unduly prejudicial because it's already not a horse's leg. But why should they put screenshots of Tory Lanez's cap music video when they already have a screenshot with her statement under it? So I can see particularly the relevance because she has a statement about it, but the entire video or excerpts from the video, I don't think that's necessary. Miss Molino, Your Honor, this is one, and I didn't mean to be a premature in my interjection there, but I wanted to sort of give the parties a little bit of time on this when this is one that we started a conferral on, and the parties agreed to get back to one another to continue their conferral on it, and we did not. We were supposed to do that late last night. That call never happened. So I think there's a path forward on this one. The court, all right, Let's go to another one. Okay. I have the physical list here. So if you want to take this off the screen, that's fine. All right. What's your next objection, Miss Dixon? Miss Dixon, most of this is relevance. 403. It's not relevant. They're just talking about knowing each other. There's nothing to do with their so called conspiracy here. The court, these are the defendant's iMessages with Peterson. What is the relevance? Mr. O'Sullivan. I'm sorry, Your Honor. Ms. Dixon, I don't think it's relevant. The court, PO 17, the defendant's iMessages with Peterson. What's the relevance? Mr. O'Sullivan, I think the relevance is obvious. These people coordinating on a plan to attack Megan and help Tory in his defense in that way. The court, and that's what these show, these messages. Mr. O'Sullivan, yes. The court, okay. Objection overruled. Next, Ms. Dixon, Your Honor, hey. And then it says reading Soto voice. Well, voce. Ms. Dixon, I don't see any portion on this, and I'm just stated just to randomly out of this long list that can be confusing. It's cumulative, and it really doesn't say anything about this case. It doesn't say anything about that they're conspiring. So their theory of the case was that there was conspiracy and a coordinated effort between Tory Lanez to put out information about Megan the Stallion. However, there were many other people putting out information, and there's nothing at all in this that talks about that in this. Point out something to me that talks about that in there. Well, that in here, Mr. O'Sullivan. I believe, Your Honor, this is actually the defendant's own compilation in response to an interrogatory. I'm sorry, interrogatory of these communications, and it only goes as far as it goes in terms of how often they're in touch, what they're talking about, and how it ties into the events of the trial. Andy, but the basis of offering it is their coordination. Her with the party trying to avoid the gag order is part of our case. The court, all right, let me just remind counsel. We have a court reporter up here. You can't see him, Ms. Dixon, but he's trying to take down every word. And when you speak rapidly, not only does he not take it down, but I'm having trouble following you. All right. I already gave my ruling on this exhibit. Let's go to the next one. Ms. Dixon, Your Honor, what was your ruling? I'm sorry. The court, I overruled your objection. Ms. Dixon, okay. The court, P018. Ms. Dixon, the objection was relevance, hearsay, and the rule was completeness. The court, do you have something else that you want the plaintiff to present alongside this exhibit? Ms. Dixon. Ms. Dixon, no. It's, I believe this is notes that these are questions she's about to ask him for an interview. I'm not sure if he's actually, well, if she actually has interviewed him, but the completeness would be the actual interview. These are just questions that she's set to interview someone and she's writing down the questions that she wants to ask the person. The court, objection overruled. The next exhibit, Mrs. Dixon, P021. The objections are relevance in 403. So this is from the shade room. So I would say there's authentication as well. Actually, one on second thought, I don't object to this at all. All right. What's the next exhibit to which you have an objection? Mrs. Dixon, P024. And it's the court, your client's Instagram post. What is the basis for your objection? What is the basis for your Miss Dixon? I think it's vague, misleading, and cumulative. I mean, it's just showing a picture of him and his father. What does it have to do with this case? The court, a picture of him and his father. Ms. Dixon, Daystar Peterson is in the black, and that's a picture of his father. Just pictures of people socializing. The court, relevance to the plaintiff. Mr. O'Sullivan, the relevance to the plaintiff is exactly that. She's not acting as a reporter or some third party. She's in their life and she's liking this. She's putting out their story. The court, objection overruled. Next, Ms. Dixon, P025. The court, your client's live stream. What is the basis of your objection? Mrs. Dixon, I think they need to put it up so we can see what it is. The court, well, you have your objections noted somewhere. What are your objections, Miss Dixon? Miss Dixon, oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to send them to the court. I have them here. My objections to, they can play it. I don't think they have a transcript of it. The court, I don't need to hear this or see it. Tell me the basis of your, well, for your objection. Let's discuss it, please. Miss Dixon, as far as I can tell, this one going to be cumulative, and they're going to keep playing the same one over and over. They have three of the same. The same. This is one that I told you where they play it, and then they have another one that's exactly the same, but it might have another couple of words and then another one that is exactly the same. So I think they should cut it down just to have one of them if they want to play it. Mr. O'Sullivan. Do I respond to that one? The court? Yes, please, Mr. O'Sullivan. We're not looking to burden the court or the jury or anything. We're going to try to put on our case as streamlined as we can. We haven't made final decisions. Each of those is there because they have some separate utility or feature. It doesn't mean we're going to show them all. We're not going to do that. We're going to try to be efficient, but they don't stand differently from an admissibility or evidentiary basis. The court, all right, so your objection is overruled. I'm sure the parties between now and November the 10th will narrow this down so we're not hearing the same video in audio over and over again. Next, okay, PO 27. Yes, says Ms. Dixon. The court, your client's tweet. What's the basis of your objection? 403. The court overruled. Next, Ms. Dixon. P028. The court, your client's live stream regarding Peterson's trial. What's the basis for your objection? Ms. Dixon, it's just a, it's just a live stream about, it's just what she does. She's a blogger. I mean, she's a media personality. She's reporting on something. She, oops, excuse me, one second. Okay, sorry about that. She went to every single day of the trial. She can report on what her opinion is about what she saw. The court, Ms. Dixon, as a former appellate lawyer, what is the evidentiary objection, ma'am? What rule are you citing to? Relevance in 403, says Ms. Dixon. The court overruled. Next, Ms. Dixon, P029. The court, yes, your client's live stream. Ms. Dixon, I don't even know what it says, so they didn't put any transcript, so I don't know what it says. But I would say the rule is completeness. It might be taken out of context. Rule 403 and the rule of completeness. The court, plaintiff, Miss Malino. Yes, Your Honor. We played this collectively on a meet and confer yesterday. There was an original objection for relevance, which they said ultimately their only objection is lack of foundation and that they would not withdraw that objection even though it was already authenticated with the defendant during her deposition. And we intended to do the same at trial. The court, okay, objection overruled. Next, Ms. Dixon, hold on, P030. The court, basis, the basis of your objection, ma'am. Ms. Dixon, 403 in the rule of completeness. The court overruled. Next, Ms. Dixon, 31, P031. The court, another tweet of Mrs. Cooper. And your objection is what? Your objection is what? Mrs. Dixon, no objection. The court, all right. Next, Ms. Dixon, 32. The court, your client's responses to interrogatories. Ms. Dixon, they were unverified in the court. The objection is that they were unverified. What does the plaintiff say to that? Ms. Malino, Your Honor, these were shown to the defendant during her deposition. She confirmed that she provided the information and it was given to her lawyers. The court, all right. Any remaining objection, Ms. Dixon? Ms. Dixon, I mean, there's a lot of information here, some of which may be objectionable. I'm sorry, y'all. Okay, I withdraw my objection. The court next, Ms. Dixon, PO 33. The court, what's your objection? Ms. Dixon, relevance and Rule 403. Ms. Molino, Your Honor, I apologize. During our conferral yesterday, we discussed this exhibit, and on the call, defense counsel, not Ms. Dixon, it was another individual, Ms. Bien, who's on the call here, withdrew her objection to this exhibit. The court, is that correct, Ms. Bien? You withdrew your objection, is that right? You're muted, ma'am. Miss Bien, yes, Judge. The court, very good, thank you. Ms. Dixon, was that 33 or 34? The court, 33. Ms. Dixon, 33. 34. The objections are relevant in 403. The court, I assume there's some relevant content. Miss Molino, yes, Your Honor. This is a live stream from the defendant when she's discussing in real time receiving a deep fake video and reacting to it. The court, all right, objection overruled. Next, Ms. Dixon, number PO 36. The court, yes. Ms. Dixon, relevance in 403. Ms. Molino, Your Honor, if I may, this exhibit is a repost by the defendant of the tweet that she posted the day the deep fake was posted online, where she said, go to my likes. Here she is posting it on her Instagram story. She testified at deposition that she was posting it so that the people who are in her Discord could see it and go to her likes. The court, thank you. Objection overruled. Next, Mr. O'Sullivan. I'll just note, Your Honor, while Ms. Dixon is looking, I think we've gotten to the point on the list where that's all the objections we've gotten from them and have conferred on. So everything from here on, just to be candid, is going to be fresh, at least in terms of even us going through it. The court, all right, Ms. Dixon, I think you have these objections. They were sent to you. They're just separate. She wasn't able to put them into the table for some reason because it was a PDF. The court, but did you confer with plaintiff's counsel about them, Ms. Dixon? Ms. Dixon, no, but these objections were given to them. I mean, he had a two-part statement. Part of it was that we didn't give them the objections, and the other part was that I wasn't there for the conversation because I was in another hearing. But he said that this is where we got to, I guess, yesterday. The court, all right. All right, guys, this is part 2. I will see y'all on part 3. Deuces.